I did want to start this video today by acknowledging the traditional owners of this land, the Aboriginal people, and I pay my respects to elders past and present. Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Meredith and today I'm starting a reading vlog where I will be reading a bunch of books by Indigenous authors for NAIDOC week. So when I tell you that I own a lot of books by Indigenous authors, I mean I own a fair bit. So this is a stack of books that I'm very excited to get to. So this is the stack that I will be picking from throughout the week. Look, I have here the one I have started already, which is Salt by Bruce Pascoe. So yes, this is a collection of selected stories and essays by him. This is fucking brilliant. I am just in awe of everything I've read so far. There are some that are favorites over others. Whenever I read collections, I always tab my favorites. So a lot of it is non-fiction, talking about like his experiences, the stuff that he's learnt, talking about Australia as a whole and how things could be better for Indigenous people, how we could be more inclusive of them in our culture, how we can change and make Australia a better place for all. Talking about, you know, white Australians' relationship to land, which has probably been my favorite part of this so far. I want to read out a quote about that. I was absolutely floored by this one, which is called True Hunters. Australians haven't learnt to love their country, still being obsessed with what they can extract from it, be it unseemly riches or inflated ego. We need to encourage the true hunter, and I meet quite a few of them, but sadly they are a tiny minority of those who hunt. Australians need to love their country, love their countrymen and women and the food our country gives. That temperament, that psychological imperative separates you from country. It allows you to live there, but it never allows you to feel at home. You'll always be bent on changing the landscape, forcing it to do your bidding. It prevents Australians feeling love for country because we never approach it without a weapon. Amazing. It's sophisticated and brilliant, but I feel like it's quite approachable. I went into this a little bit nervous, but I feel like he's got all the substance that an academic writer has, but he writes in a language that is more approachable, which I really appreciate. So I think that Dark Emu probably is like that, because I know like academic texts are really hard to read, especially if you're not experienced. You feel nervous reading this sort of thing. I feel like Bruce Pascoe is probably a good place to start. Hi, so I thought this would be the perfect time to film a clip because I look like absolute hot trash. So since I last updated you, I have started and I have finished Heat and Life, which is a, I guess, like short story anthology. There's 3 short stories. Yeah, this is just like a way to explore her writing. I picked this up because one of the short stories in this, Water, was in this All Come Back Now, which was a short story anthology I read last month. And I really liked her short story in that collection, so I really wanted to read like the extended version because I believe that in this All Come Back Now it was kind of shortened, but this was the full short story, and then there's 2 others. And I quite enjoyed this. My favorite was still Water. It's about this woman who gets this job being like the, I guess, communicator, and I'm sure there's a term for it, but I'm a dumbass, so I don't know what it is. But she's like, she communicates and stands up for this group of people which are called like plant people, and they're like people, but they're kind of plants. It's really cool. And she kind of ends up having a relationship with one of the plant people, and it's really cool. It's really wacky, it's really like symbolic. I just really enjoy that one, but I enjoyed the other 2 as well. The other 2 aren't really like the sort of thing I normally pick up. They just didn't feel like my type of thing, but I still enjoyed them. I think that there's a lot of talent with this author, and I definitely want to read more of her books, and all 3 of them had lesbian characters, so absolutely love that. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. And then I have since finished this beauty, so quite a few tabs, and I tabbed my favorites, so I'll go through which ones were my favorites, but I'm giving this 4 stars at the end. I think that I definitely enjoyed his non-fiction more. His fiction was just a little bit, I felt a little bit repetitive, especially towards the end, because I feel like they lumped a lot of the fiction towards the end, and I guess I was just a little bit over it because they sort of felt similar, and I think he writes them all very similar. There isn't much difference in the way that he does his fiction, and they're all just kind of like, I don't know, this vague dreamlike quality. I don't really know how to like explain it, but I feel like I just got a little bit over it towards the end. So I'll just go through like which were my favorites. Thylacine, The Imperial Mind, True Hunters, Rearranging the Dead Cat. That one was really good actually. Sea Wolves, Too Upsetting, An Enemy of the People, and Soldier Goes to Ground. So yeah, I highly recommend picking this up. The non-fiction especially is absolutely fantastic. says so much important stuff. I think he gets his points across really clearly. I think that he uses terminology that makes it, you can feel his anger, but it's not coming across like super angry. I feel like he keeps it together and writes things in a way that we feel it, but it also, yeah, it's very clear, it makes sense, and it's empowering. I feel like less is more. So the things that he does say are very powerful. Like, he'll kind of go through like explaining stuff, and then he'll have just this one liner that is absolutely incredible, and it makes you feel so many things. So I feel like he definitely is good at having information and also emotions. I feel like I prefer when my nonfiction has emotions. I know some people don't like when nonfiction has the author's opinion, but I personally enjoy it. So I like that he, you know, put his emotions forward. He got very vulnerable, and I really appreciate that. And then I have picked up this beauty, and oh my gosh, guys, I was hoping this would hit, and this hits. This hits hard. It's so good. It's 5 stars so far. I'm in love with this. It's so quick and easy. You know what I love about Anita Heiss' writing? I feel like she writes in a way that is, like, I don't know, like, her writing comes across like the kind of books that kind of waffle around a little bit and really go into detail about characters and are slow and a lot happens. I feel like she writes like that, but I don't know, she takes less time, and I feel like she achieves the same stuff. So I feel like I don't mind those books that waffle about, but I feel like if you don't like that, but you want the kind of effect of very clear characterization and immersion in the setting and the plot and everything, Anita Heiss is your girl. So this is an historical fiction. It takes place in 1944, so it's during World War II, and it's about a Japanese prisoner of war that escapes from the camps, and he ends up stumbling upon a mission station, and the man that finds him hides him in their like raid bunker. The daughter of one of the families is going down to give him food, and they start becoming friends and talking, and they start falling in love, and it's wholesome and it's beautiful and it's emotional and it's to the point. Like, she's not waffling around in that, which I really appreciate. I think this makes it a lot more accessible. I feel so immersed. I feel like I know the characters. I feel like I can picture everything. I'm there, you know, I'm there. It's beautiful. I'm loving this. Look at all these tabs of just these two characters being wholesome in their romance. It's so pure, and anyway. Okay, so like, I mean, this is 5 stars. That goes without saying. I don't even need to say that. But oh my god, the ending was not what I was expecting. I want my money back. Well, I don't, because this was amazing. But like, yeah, I had a few tears. Which, for context, I don't really cry reading books. It's pretty rare. I think maybe only like 2 or 3 have ever made me cry, and it's been quite a few years. I wouldn't say I cried, though. I wasn't like sobbing or anything, but like, my eyes welled up and like a tear or 2 ran down my cheek. Like, I was getting there. Yeah, fuck. This book's good, guys. I don't even know what else to add. Like, it's just really good. It's a really, really goddamn good book. I became so attached. I think the plot was probably the best part of this. It's such a unique, beautiful concept, and she wrote it so well. Like, it's quite short, and normally you wouldn't think a book about this that spans like a year or 2 would be this short, but she's a master at it. Like, seriously, she's so good at what she does. Like, I fully felt the characters. As I said, I was completely immersed, and that continued throughout the whole story to the point where I was completely sucked in at the end and got very, very emotional. But I think something I loved about this was the reason that the Indigenous people at the station decided to hide the man, because they were like, we're actually both fighting the same government, because we don't really fight for the Australian government because they give us no rights. Because this was set in 1944, and Indigenous people back then still didn't have a lot of rights.
A lot of them were kept in, obviously, the mission stations, and they were treated terribly. And you see that through this book. It's disgusting. I just fucking hate it. And they kept him because it was like they had agency and they could one up the government, because they were like, we're doing something that they don't want us to do and we're beating them at it. And it's like, I in a way respect the Japanese because they're fighting the government that we're fighting. Like, we're on the same side here. I loved that. I think that was just clever, and it showed that her characters had agency despite their circumstances, and they were clever, and they were also kind. They were generous, but they were also flawed. They were just all complex. Like, it wasn't like only the two main characters had complex, motives and personalities, and, it was like all the characters were complex and thought through. And obviously our two main characters are just wholesome people. Like, the way that they connected, because they're just pure people, and the way that they just loved caring for each other and taking care of one another. Like, there's one scene in this that is so beautiful because it takes them a while to like act out on their romance because of the circumstances, obviously. And there's one part where they're like embracing, and she says to him, "You're safe." I'm getting emotional, but it's just beautiful. It's like, it was about caring for one another and respecting each other and learning about each other's culture. It was just really beautiful, and it was definitely a wholesome romance. Yeah, I was very overwhelmed. I think this is beautiful. It's a story that's going to stick with me for a long time. It's one of my favorites of this year for sure. Possibly even my favorite. I don't know. House of Stone is really, really good, guys. But yeah, I loved this. This had my whole heart. I feel like this is something I will reread and come back to many times in my life because it's just beautiful, and I just highly recommend it. Then last night I also started reading Born Into This, and this is also amazing. This is 5 stars so far, and I've never rated an anthology 5 stars before, but I'm this far through, so I'm almost halfway, and every story's been like 5 stars. And I've wanted to tab all of them as favorites, but I'm like, you need to like really narrow it down. But they honestly all are like favorite level. They're really good. I don't know, these all feel so well crafted, and they're so impactful. Like Honey, goddamn fucking Honey, the short story Honey, wrecked me. Wrecked me. They're clever, and it's like they're just capturing this small moment. They're powerful. They're really well written. Like, you're fully immersed. You can picture the characters so well. He just picks up on like one small thing that is so distinct and clear and integral to that character and familiar that you know the character straight away. Like, okay, I know the type of person this is. Oh, Tilly says hello, by the way. Hi, Tilly. Do you like this book too? And then like one thing will happen in the story, or there'll be one line that is so fucking clever, and they're kind of like, I don't know how to say it, not like sarcastic. I don't know the word. It's like sarcastically clever. I don't know. They're just like, something will happen and you're like, fuck, that's good. Can we just pretend that my hair is not incredibly greasy? That I don't look completely horrendous? And it's been like 2 weeks since NAIDOC week. Basically, I have 2 jobs at the moment, and COVID is going absolutely crazy. Heaps of people at my new job have COVID and are off. So I've been working every single day because I've been getting a bunch of work from my new job, and I already have another job. So I've basically been working like at stages 7 days straight. I work 6 days this week. I've been incredibly busy. Yeah, I don't really know why. I talked about all that. But anyway, so let's just wrap this vlog up. I ended up finishing 2 more things at the end of NAIDOC week. But again, it's been a few days now. But anyway, I did end up finishing Born Into This. This was 5 stars. This is like possibly my favorite short story collection I've ever read. I just think every single one was at a very high standard. I think that they had a lot of things in common in that I felt like they were reflective of experiences the author had had. I felt like they all covered similar topics. I felt like they all had the kind of dry, sarcastic wittiness to them. A lot of it seemed to be kind of like picking fun at Wild Australia. It was just clever. And again, they were just, it felt like every story had just like a line or an image that stuck out.
And there are so many stories in this that I think I'll think about a lot. And I really ended up enjoying it. I highly recommend picking this up if you like short story collections. I want to like promote Adam Thompson because he is a local Indigenous author, and yeah, it's really great. I tabbed a lot of these as my favorites. They're all brilliant. I'm just gonna quickly go through the ones that I tabbed. So I tabbed The Old Tin Mine, Honey. Honey's probably my favorite, honestly. Honey was wild. Born Into This, Jack's Island, Sunny, Blackfellas From Here, Your Own Aborigine, Bleak Conditions, and Kite. And the last thing I read was an ebook. It was a non-fiction, and it was called, one second, I should just remember, but I don't because I'm dumb. Practical Reconciliation. So this is basically a short little like guide to this program that two Indigenous women created, which is about practicing reconciliation in your everyday life. And it's focusing on like 7 steps, and it talks about like workshops they do and programs within like workplaces, but it also talks about just like everyday life and interactions. And it goes through stuff, it goes through culture, it goes through a lot of different things. And I definitely learned a lot from it. I don't know whether this actually translates as being something that can actually be easily practiced in real life, because at points I was like, this feels like when you study and then you go on your work placement and you're like, what the fuck is this? I feel like the transition from things like if this on paper to the reality do not always translate well and don't match all the time. So I don't know how effective this is. You know, I think that there's definitely a lot to learn in here, and like it's grassroots, so it is by Indigenous women. So yeah, I definitely think it's worth reading. I'm gonna end this vlog here. I really hope that you enjoyed this vlog. I really hope that you will pick up some of the books from this vlog. Let me know what you're gonna pick up. But yeah, that's gonna do it. Thank you so much for being here. I really hope that you enjoyed, and hopefully I will see you in another video very soon. But until then, bye.